Hey guys, so we're going to review how to find, we are going to review how to find volume, but we're going to be finding volume of rectangular prisms and cylinders. So I'm going to have my screens split this time so I can show you exactly what I'm typing into my calculator for each problem, just because sometimes we use pi and we use 3.14, approximate, exact. So today I'm going to have my screen shared with a calculator. So if I zoom in to the top of our notes, we are going to start with a vocab word. It says the amount of space that a three-dimensional object takes up. So this is going to be called the volume. So we are going to be finding how much is on the inside. So for our first one, we're going to write volume. I'm going to zoom in. We're going to be learning how to find volume of two different 3D shapes. The first 3D shape is called a rectangular prism. This is also maybe known as a cube, but this is whenever I think of like a tissue box that we have whenever it's like a rectangle. So normally kept back in the back window, this would be a rectangular prism. So any 3D rectangle. To find the volume of a rectangular prism, we do length times width times height. So down below, I'm just going to write what each variable represents. Excuse me. So the L stands for length. L equals length. The W represents width. And the H is going to represent height. The second volume that we're going to write down is for the volume of a cylinder. So this is like a soda can, a can of green beans, or anything kind of like that's in a can shape. So the volume of a cylinder, this is going to be capital B times H. So to represent this, the capital B stands for the area of the base. The base is the bottom shape of the 3D object. So I'm going to define it. B equals area of base. So the base, again, like I've already said, is the bottom shape of whatever 3D object that you have. If I am thinking of a can of pop or like a can of green beans or a can of corn, I know that a circle is the bottom shape of all three of those objects. To find the area of a circle, it is pi r squared. So pi times r squared. So the R represents the radius. And from the original, we are going to do H equals height. And most times you will be given a formula, base times height, but you just have to remember, how do I find the volume of whatever bottom shape there is? So base times height is the real formula, or I could write pi times radius squared times height. This is the base, so the capital B. So the first couple problems we have rectangular prisms. So number one, it gives us a picture of a rectangular prism and it says find the volume. So if I zoom in, I know that I have the three different values, length times width times height. So I'm going to highlight each one. So the length is 4. My width, or how wide something is 3. And it is 5 centimeters tall. Those show the three different things that I'm going to multiply together. So first thing whenever you do is when finding volume of a 3D object is start by writing the equation or the formula. So volume equals length times width times height. Now I'm going to plug in those three numbers that we just highlighted. volume equals, my length was 4, my width was 3, and my height was 5. So sorry. There we go, 5. So when I type into the calculator, so I'm going to go over here, type in 4 times 3 times 5. I see that I get 60. That should be my final answer. So when I state my final answer, I'm going to type or write volume equals 60. I need to make sure I know what unit I'm using. It looks like we're using centimeters. And since we multiplied 1, 2, 3 different things together to find the volume, my unit is going to be cubed. So cubed means 3 as our exponent. Okay. So for number 2, it says find the volume. So again, it gives us another prism. We're going to highlight what 3 different values that we have. So I'm going to zoom in here. So it looks like our length is 25 inches. Our width is 18. And our height is 24. So I'm going to take those 3 things and multiply them together. So let's scroll back over here to our question. So the first thing that I always do is write down the formula so I can practice which one I'm writing. So volume equals length times width times height. Plug in the different numbers. So volume equals 25 times 18 times 24. So I'm going to come over here to my calculator, type all that in. 25 times 18 times 24. So I see that my answer should be 10,800. It absolutely should. So I'm going to my final answer of volume equals 10,800 inches cubed. Okay, that is it for the first half. Let's go to the back half so we can focus on cylinders. So the first part, again, is more vocab words. These typically only deal with 3D objects that have circles involved. So a cylinder. We know that there are 2 words that mean either keep the pi symbol in your answer or you use the pi button on the calculator to multiply by. The first one is going to be exact. So I'm going to zoom in. So when it says find the exact circumference, the exact volume, that means that you're going to have a number with the pi symbol as your final answer. The second one is going to be approximate. This is whenever you actually multiply by the pi symbol in your calculator. Okay. Question number 3. It says approximate the volume of the following cylinder. This means use the pi button for pi. Round to the nearest hundredth, that means 2 decimal places. So I need to first establish that I know all of the important information. First, this is going to be volume of a cylinder. I am going to write the formula for volume of a cylinder. So formula equals pi times radius times height. In question number 3, it says approximate. So that means that I'm not going to have pi in my final answer. So I'm going to actually multiply with the pi symbol on a calculator and I'm going to round. So then I need to go over here to my cylinder and I need to see if I can find the radius and if I can find the height. So zoom in here. Here in green is how tall my cylinder is, which is 6 inches. So then my radius is 3.5. Radius is just half of the circle on top. So from the center to one of the edges is 3.5. What we're going to do is we're going to zoom out and then we are going to plug in our numbers into our formula. So here we have volume equals pi times our radius was 3.5. So I'm going to put 3.5 squared. And my height was 6. So I'm going to put times 6. Because I'm going to actually multiply with the pi symbol, I'm just going to type it into my calculator, and we're going to round after we find our answer. So on my calculator, I'm typing the pi button times 3.5 squared times 6. So the calculator is telling me that it is 230.90706. In the instructions, it says round to the nearest hundredth. That's 2 numbers after the decimal place. So if I look at my calculator answer, I can see that there is a 9 and 0, but there is a 7 behind the 0. That tells me I'm going to round up the 0 to a 1. So approximately my answer is going to be, let me fix this. Also, when you are approximating, you're going to use the squiggly equal sign because we're showing that we rounded. So it's going to be approximately 230.91 inches cubed. Okay. Number 4. So this does not have a picture, but I'm going to read the description. It says a can of soda has a diameter of 4 centimeters and a height of 6 centimeters. How many cubic centimeters of soda can the can hold? Find the exact answer. So first off, I see that it tells me to find the exact answer. So that tells me I'm going to have the pi symbol in my answer. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an actual soda can to the best of my ability. Please do not judge my artistic ability. So this is soda. So now I'm going to label the 2 different things that they gave me. They gave me a diameter of 4 centimeters and they gave me a height of 6 centimeters. I know that the height is telling me how tall something is. So 6 is going to represent the side length. So this is what it would represent, how tall it is. And the diameter is from how far from one edge of the circle to the other edge. So across the top of the soda can would be 4 centimeters. So here's me drawing across the top, and then I'm putting a 4 across that line. So I'm going to be finding volume. So I'm going to write volume equals pi times radius squared times height. In my original problem, it did not give me the radius, so I need to use the information given to find the radius. I know that half of the diameter is my radius, so I need to think to myself, what is 4 divided by 2, or half of 4? 4 divided by 2 would give me 2 as my radius. So I'm going to write this down below. Radius equals 2. And now I have all the information I need to find the exact volume. So my volume equals pi times 2 is my radius, so I'm going to plug it in where the letter R is. 2 squared times, and I know 6 is the height of my can, so I'm going to plug in 6 where H is. So in a calculator, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in all of the numbers except for the pi symbol, because the pi symbol has to be left in my answer. So I'm going to put in 2 squared times 6. I get 24. So my final answer should be volume equals 24 pi. Alrighty, to our last question. It says a company has to decide whether to put juice into cans or boxes. Which container would hold more liquid? So first we have a cylinder can, or we have a juice box. So first it tells me find the volume of the can. Approximate the volume of the can by using 3.14 for pi. Round to the nearest tenth. Okay? So first let's see what we have. If I scroll into The can, I see that I have the radius of 5 centimeters, and then I have a height of 9.55. So for the can, I'm going to write volume equals pi times radius squared times height. My radius is 5, so I'm going to plug that in for the letter R. And then for the height, or how tall my can is, it is 9.55. So into my calculator, I'm going to type everything that I just wrote. Pi times 5 squared times 9.55. In the original question, it says round to the nearest tenth. That means one number after the decimal place. So that tells me I'm going to, actually, so sorry. I just typed in the wrong thing. It told me to use 3.14 for the pi. It does not tell me to use the pi symbol. That was my mistake. Let's try it again. So I'm going to type in 3.14 times 5 squared times 9.55. Notice how I did get a different answer, so I'm glad that I realized my mistake. It says round to the nearest tenth. That's one number after the decimal place. So I have 749.6. That is the first number. 7 behind it. It would bump it up to a 7. So my volume would be 749.7. And we have centimeters cubed. So we now need to find the volume of the box. So scroll into the box, I see that I have my 3 different measurements. I have my length, I have my width, and I have my height. So I'm going to plug in for the volume of a rectangular prism. So volume equals length times width times height. Plug in the 3 numbers that I had. Volume equals 5 times 15 times 10. So I'm going to come over here, type in those 3 numbers. I see that I should have 750 centimeters. So volume equals 750 centimeters cubed. So I still need to answer the final question of which container would hold more liquid. It would be the rectangular juice box. Not by much, but it would still get more, it would still hold more juice than the cylinder juice can. So I'm going to circle box, or I would write box holds more. And that is the end of our